It was your mission and your triumph, and assuredly, you walked with us on the lunar surface.
The appearance of Colonel Edwin E. Aldrin, the first Union man to work on the moon, highlighted the 8th Constitutional Convention of the AFL-CIO in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Aldrin came to that convention to thank Union members for work, their support, which made it possible for the first man from Earth to land on the moon and return safely. This is how it looked and how it sounded.
So I'm delighted to present to this convention, representing 14 million American working men and women, the first Union man on the moon, Colonel Edwin E. Aldrin, Jr.
President Meany, Secretary-Treasurer Kirkland, President Floyd Smith of my union, the IAM, Assistant Secretary of Labor, Mr. Usry, Mr. Seemiller, members of the Brotherhood of Unions, the Union of Workers joined in the American Federation of Labor, and the Congress of Industrial Organizations. It's indeed a pleasure for me to be here in New Jersey, my home state, and to be with you at this convention. I'm very glad that the IAM has continued my membership. But I will have to say it's been quite a while since I've had my card punched. I have managed to keep rather busy, though, and I'd like to show you a film that shows something of the kind of work I've been doing as a union man. Some of the tasks, you will note, involve the use of hand tools, mechanical equipment, for which skilled craftsmen have a special appreciation. One of the Mercury astronauts observed as he was climbing into his spacecraft, looking around at the many, many parts upon which his life relied, and he had the thought, all this that I see upon which my life belongs has come from the lowest bidder. Now, this is hardly a comforting thought at first, but this sort of thing does not disturb us. It's largely because he, as many of us have, toured all the manufacturing centers and industrial plants involved in the space program. On these tours, we've seen men and women of America's labor force at work in the vital components of machinery and vehicles that carried us into space. Men and women who have a tradition of quality work and who have never played false with that tradition for any consideration. The union label means reliability, responsibility, the assurance of high quality, and we know that. We want you to know how deeply grateful we are for all of your support, the support both of your labor and of your tax dollars that provided us with the complex machinery and equipment that assured the safety and successful completion of our mission. This mission was yours and mine, as well as Neil Armstrong's and Mike Collins. It was your mission and your triumph, and assuredly, you walked with us on the lunar surface. You left your footprints as we did on the desolate lunar surface, just as you have supplied us with the confidence in your transportation with its life support systems that carried us every mile of our journey to the moon and returned us safely back to Earth. As Neil and I stood on the moon, the Earth was very much with us. We were wrapped in and sustained by an artificial Earth environment, which we carried on our backs. We are still literally earthbound in these very early years of the space age. Earth remains both our source and our sustenance. We take it with us wherever we go. And with this new perspective, this deeper appreciation of Earth, we have opened up the future to a new promise of attainment. Viewed from space, we have seen the Earth in all its opalescent beauty, the crowning jewel of our solar system. We have seen our home as a storehouse, rich in as yet untapped treasures. We've gained more knowledge and a better understanding of our good Earth. 3 of us took a journey to the moon, but more than 20,000 contractors, well over 400,000 workers encompassing a wide range of skills, trades, and services took part in the effort to get us there. Thousands of these very important people are members of unions represented by you here today. These include my own union, the International Association of Machinists, the Aerospace Workers Union, Communication Workers of America, the United Steelworkers of America, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, International Union of Electrical, Radio, and Machine Workers, Transport Workers, the Pattern Makers League of North America, all the metal trade unions as well as building trades, the American Federation of Technical Engineers, and the American Federation of Government Employees. The $24 billion invested in our lunar mission was both widely and wisely spent. More than 90% of it went to you and remained here on Earth, except for a camera, a few jettisonable portions of our spacecraft, some experiments that are giving us today information, and of course the descent stage of the lunar module that we left on the moon. Our dollars for space not only were spent on Earth, but according to a recent survey, our NASA civilian space program has, in its first decade, generated $35 billion in goods and services. Space exploration channels the creative and productive energies of our people at home and abroad, tends to increase this bounty and productivity and keep our labor force active. We must remember that the Earth is only an 8,000-mile diameter body in an 8 billion-mile diameter solar system. A solar system we have just begun to explore. Among the concepts you can expect to see projected from the drawing board to actual development in the industries which you labor and out into space is a space station that will be the basic element of manned activities in Earth orbit, of continued manned exploration of the moon, and which will serve as the training laboratories to prepare man for extended expeditions to the planets. A permanent structure in permanent orbit, the space station will support 6 to 12 occupants who could and would be replaced at regular intervals. Such a station may be working in space by 1976. Initially, the station will operate in a low-altitude inclined orbit. Other stations ultimately will be established in polar and synchronous orbit. And this module would also be used in lunar orbit to provide a station from which manned expeditions can explore the lunar surface. As you can see, man's first step on the moon, in truth, was only a beginning, a small step toward that great leap that can be made by all mankind, and that, in fact, which we began making when we entered the exploration of space as a national objective. The impact of space has changed us all. It has changed our nation. That change has been both good and productive for all mankind. Thank you.
Colonel Aldrin, words cannot express the deep appreciation that I'm sure we all feel at the great honor that you have paid the American trade union movement by visiting us here this morning and telling us not only of what you experienced in going to the moon, but letting us in on the possibilities of further development of Earth stations, Earth orbiting stations, and all sorts of devices to explore the outer space. And I stress this all, not for the purpose of dominating and controlling or conquering any other people, but all for peaceful purposes, for the benefit of all mankind. We feel a tremendous sense of pride in the achievement of Apollo 11 and of the program that brought it to fruition, because it demonstrates American skill, American ingenuity, American resourcefulness, and above all, American determination. On this occasion, Colonel, we'd like to show our appreciation not only to the astronauts, but we'd like to show our appreciation to those courageous ladies who are waiting at home very anxiously for your return. And we've arranged to send to your wife, to the wife of Lieutenant Colonel Collins, and to Mrs. Armstrong, a full set of Lenox china, the finest china made in America, made by Operative Potter's Local Number 2. And we'd like to show you a sample of it. This is just a sample, and we'll see to it that Mrs. Aldrin and Mrs. Armstrong and Mrs. Collins in a very short time gets a full, complete dinner set of this china as an expression of our appreciation to the tremendous work their husbands done for the country, and also for our feelings for them, knowing full well of the many anxious moments they had in this flight. Thank you very, very much.
President Meany, you are indeed most thoughtful in thinking of those who were behind us. There were so many people behind us, we very often feel guilty that maybe some of the recognition just goes to that tradition of America and desiring to select someone upon whom they can bestow many of these honors. We accept this type of a gift on behalf of all of those that have been with us, been working in this program. As a small token from those people, I would like to present a picture to the American Federation of Labor, Congress of Industrial Organizations. The inscription on the photograph, a space-age workman stands proudly by his workbench at Tranquility Base.